Welcome to New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union. I'm your host, Sean. I'm going to pre-record this because I'll be at a gun show setting up for Go Rogue. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'll be there at the gun show representing Go Rogue at their booth. They got 4 tables. So I will be there getting them, or helping rep the brand and helping to get out the word about their product. With that, I was thinking about what I was going to drop for Friday's audio-only podcast. I've seen dramatic growth on Rumble this week for New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union, which gives me great hope that one day this can be my profession. During the week, though, we had the brace ban hit, and you guys have gotten the same content, just the audio only, from the Rumble audience, the Rumble posts. But what I was looking at lately is the grift that seems to be coming from the government yet again, where they're trying to weaponize language yet again. The new parlance of the radical left, or the leftists that want to, let's just say, our opposition, they're now calling assault pistol a thing. Now, I've heard of machine pistols. I've talked about what it was a Mac 11 that was used in California by the 72-year-old old man that went on his shooting spree. These guns have been around since the 70s and 80s. No law that is on the books is ever going to stop a bad dude from doing bad things. Now, the motives of the shooting that happened in California are still unknown. But every time one of these idiots comes out and does something stupid, there's a new buzz term that comes around. And even Glenn Beck's guilty of this. When you start talking about like a pistol brace, it is not a stock. Not at all. If you look at the designer, or if you talk to the designer, you see see him on one of the interviews he's done, say, for instance, on Military Arms Channel with his new collaboration. That guy says this is an orthotic. It's to make the pistol more usable. But yet again, they couldn't find something to classify the firearm used, so they used the big scary assault term. Now, I'm kind of grinding on that assault term for a number of reasons, but the biggest one for me is that it's now made it to New Mexico Roundhouse to talk about assault weapons, and the first lines in the bill are pointed at assault pistols. Now, how they're classifying this is anything with a threaded barrel, so anything that has a suppressor, or could be a suppressor host, or had a compensator, has a detachable magazine, or is capable of accepting an extended, as what your term is, PCC magazine. So one of the 30-round Glock magazines. Those, again, are standard capacity magazines because they're standard, that you can buy them anywhere, or at least you should be able to. So they're grinding on these terms, just like they are large capacity magazines, when it's a standard capacity magazine. Finding those little 10-round or 5-round magazines for your rifle or your pistol is hard as hell, and that's not how they were designed to be used, or how they were designed to be fed, so to speak. But the language of the left, the language of the gun opposition, is specifically geared towards fear. So assault weapon of any kind, assault is an action, and the assault vernacular is actually from Hitler's first assault rifle, the Sturmgewehr, the STG-44, which was the granddaddy of all the modern black rifles. That's why they hate it, because there's an intermediate caliber that isn't going to kick you in the teeth every time you squeeze the trigger. And the guns that use these particular features, specifically a pistol grip instead of a normal Monte Carlo type blended stock, like a traditional hunting stock, a forward grip and detachable magazine. That is their main target, is anything with those features. You can get a Ruger 10/22 to look like an assault rifle. But anyone who's ever shot a Ruger 10/22 will tell you it is far from an assault rifle. It is a plinking gun. It is what you teach people how to shoot with. The same can be said with these so-called assault pistols. A Glock pistol with a threaded barrel is now an assault pistol. Now, getting a Glock 18 in the United States is impossible nowadays, I believe. You have to know somebody that knows somebody that can get you the little switch that goes on the back of it, at least legally. Now, the Chinese have made a knockoff, and that came into the country through Wish. And the ATF has demonized this, and so is the mass media, saying that this is ubiquitous and it's everywhere. And this is the cause of so much damage on the streets. But if you look at where the damage, where all these shootings keep happening, they keep happening in leftist strongholds. Illinois, California, New York. Those places that have the strictest gun control laws on planet Earth are the ones that are going after your Second Amendment rights. It's sad when you see what's going on. Because when you look at California specifically, California is a beautiful place. Or it was. Go to LA now. Go to San Francisco. Go to San Diego. What do you see? When you have people, residents, citizens of other countries come here, and they tell you they don't feel safe in San Francisco, that should tell you something. And that's because of their policies that they put into play over years. Specifically, the gentleman I'm talking about is Zuby. I've watched Colion Noir, and I like Zuby because I think they're some of the smoothest people that are in the blogosphere, in mass media right now. Colion has been one of those guys that has advocated for the Second Amendment religiously for years now. The dude is smooth. The dude knows what he's talking about. But he even said and admitted to Zuby in that interview that, yeah, San Francisco seemed sketchy to him too, because he couldn't be armed there. Now, I'm not advocating for people to carry arms that aren't willing to use them in self-defense and aren't trained to use them, but it's your right. And no one should ever stop you from exercising your rights. For too long, we've sat around and we've let them continually come after our gun rights. They come after them with those stupid language changes like they do with trans kids. That's not a thing. There was a time and day and age that if you had said something like that, it would have started a fight. Now we've become so passive that we're letting the government guide us by the nose. And we've done it for years, but after COVID, it's become even more clear who our enemies are. The enemy is sitting among us. They're the government guys that just do their job. They're the people that won't admit that they failed, that they lied, and that the science lied to them. Again, science, my understanding has always been, it has to hold up to scrutiny. And the scrutiny behind the science that goes against gun violence shows time and time again that the people that are affected most by gun violence are the absolute poor or those with mental problems that are already contemplating suicide. How do you fix this? In a free society, I don't know that you can. But I do know that if you keep the populace defenseless and you keep lying to them and demonizing the basic human rights here in the United States, this will continue. People in the United States, citizens in the United States, no matter what state you live in, seem to think that the government gives you those rights and those privileges. But the rights enshrined in the Constitution are just that. They're rights. They were derived by God, and why they admitted that God was a real thing was they needed a power that was bigger than the federal government. Now our state in New Mexico is going hard and heavy after the Second Amendment. We have leftists who shut down our country, shut down our state, took bribes, and allowed only certain businesses to be open, and let our loved ones die at home alone or in hospitals alone. These people are making policies that affect your rights every day. What are you going to do about it? There is a point in time you're going to have to draw a line in the sand. I drew my line in the sand, and I gave up a career of 12 years that I loved very much, and I thought I was very mission-oriented, just to realize that in the end, the government will get what they pay for. So I'm asking you tonight, again, to talk to your representatives in the roundhouse and at the federal level to say, no, enough's enough. New Mexicans do not want this to pass. And American citizens have had enough. For 3 years you lied to us. You said that the vaccine would have protected us. Some of us got the shots thinking that we were doing what was right for society. I was one of those idiots. I was one of those statists for the longest time that always waved the blue flag. And it wasn't until COVID hit where I actually looked and saw just who was going to put the boot on your neck. So, where's your line? My line happened a long time ago. Losing my father to this cancer that happened during the COVID stuff. I don't blame the government for the cancer. I blame it for the delay of the treatment and the outright refusal to help someone else. And that everyone that was capable of help or capable of listening turned their head and said, no, we're afraid of COVID. If not now, then when? One of my favorite mentors of all time said that to us all the time. He was a motivating force for me in being team-oriented or mission-oriented where I used to work. The person that replaced him is just as brilliant, and he said the same type of thing. But he wanted to be completely different by design, and instead, like every other conformist and statist, he ended up being just like everyone else. Now's the time that we say no. We're not the same as everyone else. And my rights are not up for debate. Like, share, subscribe, check us out on Rumble, and most importantly, be great. This Saturday, or this Friday and Saturday, if you're bored and you want to come and you're in San Juan County and you want to cruise by the Go Rogue booth, you can meet me in person. Maybe we can take a selfie. I will try to broadcast live from the Go Rogue event or the San Juan County gun show. My podcast is growing. I'd like to see my friends and my family and anyone who listens, because I want to keep this as interactive as it will be. Because I'm willing to put it on the line and say, no, enough's enough. Be great.